are being waged by radical left. Always remember, they are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening. And it's been going on from before I even got elected. And remember this, they spied on my campaign and they got caught. Let's see now what happens.
President Trump last night on the politically corrupt Department of Justice and FBI and, yes, federal judiciary and the origins of Obamagate. Well, breaking news tonight, Senator Lindsey Graham reportedly held a secret interview yesterday with Joe Pintka, a career FBI agent at the heart of Obamagate. Pintka, who used a fake defensive briefing to spy on the Trump campaign and who was with Peter Strzok when they set up General Michael Flynn, trying to frame him. And he interviewed Graham as well as senators, senators not on Graham's Judiciary Committee. One Senate aide telling the Federalists that under previous judiciary chairs, the practice was to invite all committee members to attend. Graham didn't even tell some of the Republicans on his committee. We contacted Graham's office for comment. We, not surprisingly, have yet to hear his response. Text messages reveal how former Senator John McCain associate David Kramer was feeding stories from Christopher Steele, the author of the fake dossier, to the left-wing media. Kramer's text to Steele read in part, quote, "The Flynn call story is picking up legs. I think it's time to get that other story out there." That's a reference to a column about Flynn's contact with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak. The messages also say, "Ignatius is the one I'll feed it to," referring to Washington Post columnist David Ignatius. And a win to tell you about tonight for the Trump campaign. An Iowa judge rejected 50,000 absentee ballots because they were pre-filled out with voter information. Earlier this month, the Trump campaign and Republican groups in the state filed lawsuits to invalidate those ballots, saying voters should fill out their own ballots to protect from fraud. Joining us tonight, Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch. His new book is A Republic Under Assault, The Left's Ongoing Attack on American Freedom, available for pre-order now. Tom, good to have you with us. It turns out there is voter fraud in this country of it's seemingly all forms possible. Your reaction to the latest?
Well, in Iowa, the problem with mailing out ballots that are pre-filled or ballot applications that are pre-filled, that makes it easy for someone who isn't supposed to get them to follow up and get the darn absentee ballot in response, especially to someone who's living in a place where the ballot is mistakenly sent. We did an investigation of Iowa's numbers. We found there were problems. And, the problem here is you've got these ballot applications and ballots going to registration lists, which are dirty. If you're in the business of mailing...
Well, they're dirty, and they're also being used to pre-mail ballots out to voters without any assurance that it'll get to them or any assurance that there won't be greater fraud. I mean, I think everybody gets why it looks like it's a rigged deal and really a bad idea. But meanwhile, and I don't remember any of us getting to vote on it, the Democrats go straight ahead with precisely that, mail-in voting.
It's so irresponsible, it has to be malicious. And especially the politicians, because the politicians know, because they're in the business of contacting voters in their campaigns. They know the voter registration lists are notoriously unreliable. They spend all sorts of money trying to fix them themselves because they waste time contacting voters that aren't there. So they all know it's a joke, and yet they're still pushing out almost 100 million ballots and ballot applications, Lou. They know it's going to break the system. What you see on the streets, you're seeing it in the election system. It does. It really does.
It's got to be stopped. It's just that simple. Let's turn to Senator Graham, again, making news by doing something really very, very odd. Not telling members of his own committee that he was talking with Penka, the agent who accompanied Strzok, trying to frame General Michael Flynn in August of 2016. I mean, what is this senator thinking? Can you divine his innermost thoughts?
I can't. To me, it indicates they're being dragged kicking and screaming into doing any investigation. And you can give yourself some credit, Lou. Give Judicial Watch and others have been critical of the not only Senator Graham, but the Republican leadership in the Senate for failing to investigate this. This would never have been done, and it's only being done because of grassroots pressure and pressure that folks like you are bringing on the Senate. It shows that there's a serious concern by the American people that there's been no sufficient accountability. And however problematic the way that Graham is doing it and half-baked, it would never have been done but for this pressure. I'm surprised they're asking any questions at all. It's a really kind of a victory that they're bringing this guy in at all at this late date. At this late date.
It's stunning. And a late development, the Attorney General responding to a court battle out west, the Ninth Circuit Court enjoining an injunction against the enforcement of law by the federal government in Portland, Oregon. I mean, it's come to that. And it is absolutely obscene that a federal court in Portland would not want federal law enforcement officers or any law enforcement officer to have at their disposal any tool with which to preserve law and order and civil order where there is so much violence. 91 straight nights of violence.
Well, it shows you the attack on the rule of law isn't just on the streets, it sometimes is in the courts. In my view, the president should invoke the Insurrection Act, use his other presidential powers under law to protect the citizens and guarantee them a Republican form of government in Portland because they don't have it anymore. It's anarchy. Yeah. What you saw what happened in Washington, D.C. last night. Guests to the President of the United States, I was there in my personal capacity. You wouldn't believe what was going on. You left the White House at risk for your personal safety because of the leftist mayor of D.C. not providing necessary security around the White House. Unbelievable.
Incredible.
A senator was almost killed, but for a police officer happening to be there to protect him by the communist mob.
You know, I would like to think the FBI is investigating this with great energy. My guess is, however, quite different than what I would hope. Tom Fitton, great to have you with us as always. Thanks so much. Tom Fitton, Judicial Watch. Up next, President Trump highlighting the importance of faith and mercy. Pastor Robert Jeffress with the president.